Testing, testing.
That clock is not right. It's pretty close. No, it's pretty close. Yeah, it's pretty close. What's up, Rich? How are you? Hey. Oh, Marvin.
You can't be like, oh my God, what happened? See what they have to say.
Everybody ready?
Yes.
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. If any member has reason to believe this meeting is being held in violation of this act, they should state so at this time. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Werner?
Here.
Mr. Venuto?
Here.
Mr. Lewin?
Here.
Mrs. Notch? Here. Ms. Sheehan?
Here.
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Mr. Zexer?
Here.
Mr. Yeager?
Here.
Ms. Stevenson?
Okay, our first resolution is for Greg and Shannon Wright, 1249 Washington Street. May we have a motion?
I'll make motion.
I'll
Second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Mr. Zetzger?
Okay. And Mrs. Notch second. Mr. Zexer motions, Mrs. Notch seconds. Mr. Lewin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
Abstain.
Ms. Sheehan?
Abstain.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our second resolution is for the Cape May Marina LLC. Can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Is that Mr. Venuto motions, Mr. Lewin seconds. Mr. Lewin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
Abstain.
Ms. Sheehan?
Abstain.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Our next resolution is for the Cape May Paddle Club. We have that?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
So is that Mr. Zexer motions, Mr. Lewin second? Mr. Lewin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
Abstain.
Ms. Sheehan?
Abstain.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next we need a motion to approve the minutes of our September 25th meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mrs. Notch motions, Mr. Venuto seconds. Mr. Lewin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
Abstain.
Ms. Sheehan?
Abstain.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, our first application tonight is for Kenneth Cornu, 1350 Texas Avenue.
He's setting up, I have some handouts. Mark these, exhibit A1 and A2, there's just two photographs.
What do you want me to call him, Mr. Munzo?
A1 is an aerial photograph of the subject property. A2 is a street view of the subject property. Actually, there's a third one, A3, also a street view of the subject property.
I can't call them both street views, so just give me a little. A2 is a street view.
A2 is a street view, and A3 is another street view, just a little bit different.
Closer? Further? Just give me some word that.
Closer, A3 is closer to the harbor,
Okay, that's fine.
and A2 is farther away from the harbor.
Okay. All right, do you want to swear anybody in?
Mr. Blackman?
I'm going to swear you in, also swear in our board engineer. Do each of you swear or affirm to give the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Anthony Monzo, representing the applicant. Anthony Monzo from Monzo Catanese Delalas, representing the applicant, Ken Cornu. Ken Cornu and his wife are the owners of the subject property at 1350 Texas Avenue. It's the last home at the end of Texas Avenue, as you can see from Exhibit A1. It's on basically a triple-sized lot, and has ample space on each side, on the harbor side as well as on the side of the adjoining property. And at the rear of the property, it looks like a road, but it's actually an internal road, private road that's part of Harbor Cove. I think it's Harbor Lane. Along Harbor Lane, that's considered the rear yard of the subject property. Mr. and Mrs. Cornu could not be here tonight. Their daughter's getting married, and tonight is the rehearsal dinner, and they wanted to be here, but they can't, so Mr. Blackman and I think we can cover all the issues, and we've spoken at length with him in terms of issues that may come up. So what the applicant is trying to do with this property is, even though it's a large home, it is not really functional for living. This was built by someone previously who built it with entertainment in mind, had large entertainment areas, but not really functional bedrooms and other areas that people would want as a permanent living space. Mr. Cornu and his wife intend to retire here, and they want a house that they can use. They want an exercise room. They want room for their family, for their grandchildren. So what they're doing, rather than, try to retrofit this home or even build a new one, they want to just add on to it. So what they want to do is add on top of the garage and then extend to the, I guess I would call it the west, away from the harbor. And it conforms with respect to lot size, obviously, lot coverage, floor area ratio, height. So it meets just about all of the bulk standards. The only issue we have is when it was initially built, it was built closer to the rear yard than the zoning permits. So the prior owner got a rear yard setback. And the preference was to do that because they wanted to preserve space on either side of it, plus more space in the front. And because of Harbor Lane behind it, it really was an impediment, was not an impediment to properties that were directly behind it. There's about 40 feet from the back of the property to the next property line on the other side of Harbor Lane. So what we're asking for tonight are two variances. One is the expansion over the garage. Because it's in the setback, it's about 17.7 feet from the rear yard property line, and 30 feet is required, so that triggers a variance for rear yard setback. The existing setback, by the way, is about 14.5 feet. So this second and third addition over the garage is going to be in a little further from the garage line and also the rest of the house. So it'll be about 17.7 feet from the property line. So that triggers a rear yard setback variance. It's basically, it's an expansion, a vertical expansion of a non-conforming structure. Also, the extension goes away from the garage that is fully conforming, the new addition. But again, because this project was approved by variance, even the extension that may otherwise fully conform to all zoning standards would trigger the variance under the, I think it's 573 of the zoning code, which basically says if you're expanding on a non-conforming lot or where there's a non-conforming structure, anything you do would require a variance if the non-conformity was created by variance. So we have that situation here. So as you can see by the photo, it's a very large lot. And you can see the rear yard, which is separates the rear yard. There's Harbor Lane before you reach any of the other properties. The other two photos are just a view of this property from the front yard. And you can see the large side yard between this property and the next neighbor. And also, more so with the aerial, you can see the large area that is between this house and the harbor. And so this, even though it's a large home, it's a triple lot, and we think that all the standards for relief under both the C1 hardship and the C2 balancing test can be met. So with that background, I want to have Mr. Blackman explain the project and also, get into some of the details about what's existing and why this expansion is preferred by this particular applicant. Yeah, Mr. Blackman.
Would you introduce Mr. Blackman?
I'm sorry, Jerry Blackman is a licensed architect. He's testified before this board before. If you want to put his credentials on the record, we can do that. If you want to, if some of the board members
Is
are
a licensed
not
architect in
familiar.
New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
Do you need anything else?
No, it's fine.
You accept him as an?
Yes.
That's good. Thank you. Okay. The project also includes some renovations to the existing home. The existing home is 3 stories. It was constructed with ephes on the, as exterior cladding. Some of the windows are leaky. It has a clay tile roof, which is very heavy, which has caused some cracking for ceilings inside the home. So there are some renovations that are planned, as well as the building additions. There is a one-story, well, there's a one-story garage, but there is actually a second and third floor above the garage. It just doesn't take up the whole footprint of the garage. At the second floor, it's a bedroom. At the third floor, it's also a bedroom. And there is a cupola in the middle of the roof above the garage as well, at the second floor. So we are proposing to demolish the cupola, remove the roof of the garage, remove the 2 existing bedrooms that are above the garage currently, and build an expansion at the second floor and also at the third floor. The second floor would contain, excuse me, more living space as well as bedrooms. They also have 3 birds, which they inherited, so they actually have a room for cages for the birds as well on the second floor. The third floor is the master suite. Above the garage, the third floor is the master suite, with closets, bathroom, master bedroom. And then the western addition will be building storage areas, additional garage, bedrooms on the second floor, and there is a partial third floor on that side of the building, which will have another bedroom. The existing home has 5 bedrooms now, which will be expanding to 8. We do provide all the required parking on the site for 8 bedrooms. There'd be no parking in the street. Sorry. As Mr. Monzo said, the house was originally designed as a vacation home. It had very little storage inside. The bedrooms were small, especially the master. So our clients, Ken and Carrie Cornu, they have a large family. They wanted to make sure that, that they could accommodate their family, their children, their grandchildren, and such, as well as suit their needs for making this their retirement home. So providing an indoor gym was an important facet to them. Providing more storage, was an important facet to them. Closet space was they had very small closets in the existing home. So we are expanding closet space as well. The addition to the west is fully conforming to the zoning ordinance. It meets all the setback requirements and building height. The addition over the garage it meets building height, and it has need for a setback variance because while we are expanding on top of the existing footprint of the existing garage doesn't conform to the rear yard setback. We do have an odd lot in that there are streets on 2 sides, and I guess also a bit odd as well, as you go to the east along the bay, there's a large area that is preserved for fuse that is, I believe by easement, we can't develop that portion of the lot. The only portions of the lot that we had for development were above the garage and to the west side. So I believe we were careful in citing the building addition on the west side, made sure that we conform to the setbacks. Expansion of the garage was necessary in that with the garage being only 1 story, if you were at a second floor or a third floor, the existing portion of the house, you'd have to walk downstairs to the ground floor, walk through the garage to get to the addition on the west, which we thought would be a bit odd. So we decided to sort of infill on top of the roof of the garage with living space and be able to provide that connection from one part of the house to the other.
So what you're saying is that it wouldn't really work from an architectural standpoint to just add on to the garage without building over the garage as well?
Right? Yeah, functionally as well as aesthetically. I think if you had a 3-story existing house to the east and a 2 partial 3 building addition to the west, and only the existing 1-story garage in between, I think it would look a little odd. So aesthetically as well as functionally, we felt like it was a good plan to develop over top of the garage. We can provide all the parking on site as I indicated, can manage all of our stormwater runoff on the site. Our side yard setbacks, of course, are much, they're in excess of what the minimum requirement is. We do have a front yard that is non-conforming to the existing house. We're not changing, exasperating, modifying that portion of the house, so that existing setbacks and existing nonconformity. The lot coverage, we are complying with, and I believe we're at 29.9%. While we are increasing the lot coverage by building the building addition, it added about 3 or 3.5% to the existing lot coverage, and it's under the 30% that's required by, maximum requirement by ordinance.
What about floor area ratio? Where does it?
Floor area ratio, well, we comply, whereas .5 is requirement, we're at .27. So we're well under, even though it's a large house, the floor area ratio requirement. Yeah, so,
Let's take the variances,
Yep.
Mr. Blackman. Let's first take the expansion to the west. And in your opinion, would this qualify under the undue hardship C1 criteria? And if so, can you explain why?
sure. The home was built with variance relief before our clients purchased the home in 2017. Even though the expansion is fully conforming, because the previous owner had obtained variance relief in order to construct the home, anything that we would do to the home in terms of an addition requires us to apply to this board for variance relief under the ordinance. So I believe that would classify as a hardship, in that there really isn't anything you could do to the home except renovate it without obtaining variance relief.
What about the expansion over the garage? Would that, in your opinion, also qualify for C1 hardship relief?
We feel like it would. We do have an existing non-conforming setback, which was from the previous owners, that our current clients inherited. In order to build over top of the garage, there wouldn't be much room left on top of the garage if we conform to the 30-yard rear yard setback. I think all you would really get is maybe like a corridor to connect one part of the house to the next part of the house, which wouldn't really, doesn't serve their program. In that the existing garage wall that we're extending up is an existing nonconformity on the first floor. The second and the third floor, I guess, it exasperates the nature of the variance that the board had reviewed back in 1998.
With both issues, both variances, can you articulate any purposes of zoning that would be advanced by the grant of these variances?
Yeah, in our opinion, we feel that we have, guided the appropriate use or development of lands in the state in a manner that would still continue to promote public health, safety, and general welfare. It's a multi-generational use of the property that's anticipated for the homeowner and their family. And I guess given the different oddities with the site, we feel that we did actually thoughtfully come up with an addition that served their needs, but maintained most of the zoning ordinance, other than setbacks. Sorry, getting over a cold.
Any other purposes of zoning that you can?
Yes, we feel that we're providing sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of uses. In this case, it's private. We do have a large area that's to the east, which we're not able to develop, but it maintains views for some of the homes that are along Harbor Cove. We are promoting, in our opinion anyway, a desirable visual environment by, creative development techniques, by, utilizing what is available to us on the lot that, in our opinion, offers the least impact to the site and the neighbors.
Can you touch on the negative criteria? Do you see any substantial detriment to the public good or any substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan?
No, I think in this instance, we're talking about infill development of a single-family home on a single lot that has a couple of oddities. We don't feel that there's detriment to the public good. We don't feel that there's impairment of the intent and purpose of the ordinance, or the zoning plan. And any impairment is fairly minor, and that given some of the benefits, we think, aesthetically and good planning, outweigh those, what we feel are minor detriments.
I don't have any additional testimony. We can take board questions, and then Mr. Hurlis.
Anyone from the board have any questions? Please make sure your microphones are on.
I just have a question about the number of bedrooms.
Yep,
You said it's going to 8 bedrooms?
that's correct.
Does that include the bird's bedroom?
No, it doesn't include the bird room. It's 8 without the bird room,
Okay, is there a reason why the bird room isn't considered a bedroom?
because the birds are going to be living in there, I guess. They're likely to outlive our clients, the birds. Technically, I guess it could be considered a bedroom. It'll also be used
Do
for.
you have sufficient parking for a 9th bedroom?
We do, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, we're in excess of the parking that's required.
okay.
It'll also be used as sort of a craft room as well for Carrie.
Okay.
I'd like to ask about the lack of sidewalk along Harbor Cove. Where the sidewalk is,
Yep.
that pretty much gives this shield that you don't see this house.
Yep.
That is city property, or is that applicant's property? Is their property run out to the curb?
No.
Shouldn't, right?
Do you want
You
me
talking
to?
about along Texas Avenue?
Should I wait? No, not on
No.
that.
I can weigh in on that,
On the-
because I have a review comment that's directly related to that. So my recommendation is, so sidewalk is required, and there is a city right-of-way there. And yes, you are correct, there is a pattern of sidewalk along Texas Avenue that terminates right at their property line. So there is also a row of mature trees that is directly in line. If you were to have them install sidewalk, they would have to rip out all of those trees along the entire property frontage.
I'm concerned, my concern is the mass of this house is going to be in front of the neighbors across the street. There's no denying this is going to be probably the biggest house in town. And they're going to be looking at the back of this house, like I'm sitting here now, it's 40 feet across. If that buffer removes, but then also, why should they not have sidewalks? The rest of the city has sidewalks.
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, I thought you were asking me a question about sidewalk. You seem to be asking about buffering.
Well, if the sidewalk goes through, if the city requires sidewalk, then that buffering's going to go
Well,
away.
my recommendation is for this board to grant relief of that sidewalk, but have the applicant put an ADA ramp in so that it can connect to the Harborview Park. There's an ADA ramp directly across the street from that. I included a photo in my review that shows that. So they would provide a crosswalk there with an ADA ramp that would link up all the sidewalk.
Okay.
And I think the benefits of preserving those trees mitigate some of the massing there as felt on the Harborview Park side.
I think there may be some confusion between sidewalks along Harbor Lane and
Yeah.
sidewalks along Texas Avenue. And
Well-
I think you may have been referring to Harbor Lane.
Yeah, and
Yes, I'm talking about Harbor.
So, okay, so that was the Texas Avenue comment. Now, I'll switch to Harbor Lane because I also have a comment with regards to that. So they didn't mention it, but if you look at Harbor Cove, and if you've driven down Harbor Cove near that cul-de-sac and the turnaround, there is a well-landscaped strip that runs along the side of Harborview Lane, or Harbor Cove, and this property. So there's not sidewalk required on both sides of the street.
Oh, there's not sidewalk.
There's not. The residential site improvement standards does not require that. So
That landscape is staying.
yeah, that landscape is not under their control. I believe it's under the control of the HOA for Harbor Cove, so that would not be going away.
And I believe you also asked if the property came up to the curb line.
Right.
It does not.
If the
Yeah,
HOA.
Yeah.
it's short of the curb line.
Yeah, they have that's actually a strip of land maintained by the HOA.
So
Also, I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I read the Shade Tree Commission recommendations. They do not want any of those trees along Texas Avenue removed, to get to Craig's comment regarding the sidewalk.
Were you okay with that sidewalk recommendation?
Yes, that was
Yes.
fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, but you are removing 2 trees.
One, yeah, there's a sycamore tree that's being removed where the addition is going. I think that's the only one.
I see
I
2
think
on the
it's-
map.
Mr. Monzo, can you bring your mic closer, please? Thank you. We are making a recording.
Okay.
There was one in the footprint, and there was one outside. The one outside the footprint, you have a 2-for-1 replacement requirement.
Yeah.
And I called that out in my review.
Yeah. There was one that was just outside the footprint that likely during construction would be,
Right.
Okay,
would be a problem. But there was one in the footprint that was certainly being removed.
so do they have to mention that they're going to put those trees back at 2-for-1, or
They
where they're
have-
going to put them, or that doesn't matter?
Right, they have to provide a plan to my approval that shows that they're going to provide the 2-for-1 replacement.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Let's
Just-
have Mr. Hurlis's report, and then if there's any other questions, we can.
I got through half my report. Okay, I'd like to summarize my August 11th, 2025 review memorandum. Good evening, everyone, by the way. This is Craig Hurlis, the board engineer. So you've heard testimony from the applicant indicating what they're proposing to do. I'm not going to rehash that. Once again, this site previously received variance approval back in 1999, and those approval was set forth in Resolution 6-9-99:5. You've heard testimony from the applicant indicating what they're proposing to do, so I'm going to roll right into the completeness checklist items. Item number 12, they did not have a certified property list when I reviewed this. They have since provided that, so that's no longer an issue. So item number 12 has been addressed. Item number 19 is topography, and item number 28 are design calculations. They showed a stormwater system to be provided, but they have to back that up with the existing topography and the stormwater calculations, so both of those items can be provided as a condition of approval. And then finally, they've asked for a waiver from the landscaping plan. We don't need a full landscaping plan, we just need to see the tree replacement plan. So I did support that waiver request and recommended deeming the application complete. With regards to the zoning review and the variances, there's 2 typos in my report. They kind of mentioned them already. The existing building setback line along Texas Avenue is an existing non-conforming situation. It's not being worsened or affected by this development, but 18.54 feet exists where 25 foot is required. I show conforming, but that's really an existing nonconformity. And then finally, under the rear yard where it's boldface, 30 foot is a requirement. They're requesting a variance. 14.92 is what exists. They're infilling and having a vertical expansion. The measurement to the new improvements is 17.5, where 30 foot is required. But the 14.92 in the top of that should be existing nonconforming. It's not being affected, but it's the existing condition. So there are, in my opinion, there's one variance that's really required, and that's from the rear yard setback. That's item number 1 on page 3 of 6. The zoning review is the part of the section that says if they got a variance before and they're changing something, they have to come back for your review. I don't view it as a variance because we're addressing the variance in item number 1, but it's just saying they can't creep the development after you guys give variance approval, in my opinion. That's, okay? Under general review comments, I've asked that the zoning table be revised to reflect the comments in my report. Item number 2, I talked about the stormwater requirements, but they owe us the design calculations for review, and then our standard condition that they have to comply with Chapter 525, which is the minimum stormwater management and grading requirements, both during and after construction. 3, we already talked about, which is the 2-for-1 replacement, so they're required to provide that information on the plan to make sure they're complying with the code. 4 is my sidewalk recommendation, and they've agreed to that, so essentially they're going to be providing the ADA ramp at the terminus of the sidewalk along Texas Avenue, and that will connect into the sidewalk ADA terminus on Harbor View Park. We've asked for construction details under item number 5 on page 5. 6 is our standard condition that they have to provide the inspection escrow and the certificate of occupancy of the improvements is not to be issued until they're acceptable. Item number 7 is compliance with the Shade Tree Commission, Fire Department, and Public Works Department. We did receive reviews from the fire department dated 9/2/25. They recommended approval with no comments. Public Works Department recommended approval dated 9/2/25 with no comments. And finally, the Shade Tree Commission, as Mr. Monzo indicated, they asked for the protection of the trees inside the front yard fence, the trees outside the front yard fence, tall evergreens, the cypress trees along the back property line. Is there any issue with complying with those requirements?
No.
Okay, so that, the protection of those trees should be shown on that plan also. Under item number 8, compliance with all other state, county, and local approvals. This is in close proximity to the waterfront, so we just indicated that New Jersey DEP approval may be required, but that's incumbent on the applicant to address that. 9 is informational. This is not located in the historic district. 10, they have to comply with all applicable affordable housing requirements. And then finally, should the board grant approval, they're required to revise the plans consistent with the board's conditions and submit those for review and approval. Happy to answer any questions the board has. Yes.
I presume when you say the ADA, it's on both sides of the street.
There's an ADA compliant ramp on the Harbor View side.
There is?
Yes. You can see it in the picture. This is a color picture here.
Okay,
So there will be one on the other side that mirrors that.
all right.
Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll open it to anyone here within 200 feet of the property. Anyone beyond 200 feet? Closed to the public.
Unless there's more discussion, the motion I'd recommend being made is a motion to grant variances 1 and 2 on page 3 of the engineer's report with the waivers described by the board engineer's report. Numbers 12, or number 33 is the waiver with conditions 12, 19, 28, and 1 through 11. But with number 4, the applicant has agreed to do the ADA accessible ramp as indicated by the board engineer and to comply with the Shade Tree Commission letter dated 9/11/25. That's the motion I recommend being made, but how you vote is up to you. If you're going to vote against it, please articulate your reasons carefully because there was no opposition, so I need you to create the record in opposition, okay?
Okay, would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Venuto motions, Ms. Sheehan seconds. Mr. Ledwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
Yes.
Ms. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going to turn the meeting over to our vice chair, as I need to sit in the audience for the next one. I'm within 200 feet.
Okay, our next application is Paul Grena, 314 Claghorn Place, Block 1031, Lot 63 and 64, seeking variance relief in hardship and substantial benefit.
Good evening, members of the board. For the record, my name is Michael Floyd. I'm an attorney with Archer and Griner, appearing on behalf of the applicant, Paul Grena, who has submitted an application for bulk variance approval related to a privacy fence on his property located at 314 Claghorn Place and identified as Block 1031, Lot 63 and 64 on the city's official tax maps. Mr. Grena is here as a fact witness this evening to talk about this existing fence and why we're seeking variance relief. We also have Lance Landgraf Jr., a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey with his AICP designation, who will provide planning testimony in support of the requested variances. Just one other housekeeping matter, we do have 2 exhibits that we'll be referencing this evening, and I'll be just distributing these. This is the as-built plan that was submitted with our initial application submission. I wasn't sure if everyone would have it in front of them, so we did mark it as Exhibit A1.
That's the exact exhibit, that's the exact copy that was submitted with the original application?
That is correct.
Thank you.
And then we're also submitting Exhibit A2, which are a series of 8 photographs showing various sections of the fence in the rear yard to help explain this fence, its construction on top of a brick retaining wall, and to show how it benefits the property in terms of privacy, especially with the surrounding uses. When you look on the as-built plan, it does appear that this is a,
That was part of the application.
it does appear that it is a corner lot, but in fact, it is not a corner lot. It does have a street address of Clycorn Place, 314, but it does not have direct frontage on Capehart Lane. The reason being is that there is a driveway coming off of Capehart to the MUA facility in the rear of the property. And that's one of the reasons we're asking for the fence height relief this evening.
Excuse me, did you say you have a planner here?
Yes, we do.
Can you give the name again, because I don't see it in the application?
Sure. Lance Landgraf, L-A-N as in Nancy, D-G-R-A-F Jr.
D-G-R-A-T-H Jr.?
Actually, Lance just gave me his business card.
Okay,
so-
thank you. Thank you very much.
But if there's no further questions at this time, I just have a few questions for Paul before we bring up Lance.
Okay, let me swear everyone in. Our board engineer remains under oath. Mr. Landgraf, you're in the audience, but I'll raise your right hand, sir. Will you please raise your right hand? Do each of you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you both. Good, sir.
So Paul, you've had a chance to look at the application that was submitted, correct?
Correct.
And this is your home, you're very familiar with the home, you have a temporary certificate of occupancy, is that correct?
Correct.
And one of the items we have to address is a fence that was installed slightly above the maximum allowed fence height and slightly different than what was put on the construction permit plans that were originally submitted, correct?
Correct.
And those plans originally showed a 2-foot-high brick retaining wall with a 4-foot cedar privacy fence on top, correct?
Correct.
And we now have a retaining wall that's roughly 1 foot, depending on the surrounding grade, with a 5-foot-high cedar privacy fence. Is that correct?
Correct.
So instead of a 2-foot fence and a 2-foot wall and a 4-foot fence, we have roughly a 1-foot wall and a 5-foot fence, correct?
Correct.
And the intention was not to exceed the maximum height of 6 feet, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, so just very briefly in your own words, can you just explain to the board what happened? Why are we here this evening, and why do we exceed in certain places the maximum height of the fence? And it varies depending on the grade around the property. It's anywhere from 6 feet to maybe 6 feet 3 inches, 6 feet 4 inches. But if you could just talk us through that briefly.
Correct. So the wall and fence combination was the original plan submitted. The wall material initially was ledge stone. We did choose to upgrade it to a brick wall to comply with the new standards. The wall construction I really can't speak to other than the mason, a licensed mason put the wall in. During the time of construction, there were a lot of difficulties with grading and flooding and things like this, but the end result was that we ended up with a wall that was too short. So the question was, how do we maintain our 6-foot buffer? As you can probably see from some of the pictures we sent around, we do have a municipal county building behind us that is unsightly, I suppose, and has lights on often and sometimes through the night. So we wanted a buffer. So we wanted to maintain our 6-foot buffer, so we installed a 5-foot cedar fence because the measurements we took seemed to comply. We had to order the fence early because of COVID, so we ended up getting this rumination. So that's how the fence, there was no intention ever of exceeding anything, but the way the wall was constructed resulted in us proceeding with the 5-foot fence.
And Paul, what I'd like to do right now is just turn to Exhibit A2, the photographs. There's 8 photographs. I'm just going to have Paul walk through these quickly to tell us what we're looking at. And so, Paul, this first photograph in Exhibit A2, can you explain what the board members are looking at?
This is the yard that faces what would be considered Congress Street. Just,
And it's taken from your side of the
it's taken from our
property line.
side, sorry, yes.
And the second photograph?
This is behind the garage, between our rear of our garage and the MUA building, from the inside.
And then the third photograph, can you describe that, please?
This is several things. This is from the exterior of the rear of the home. This is a whiteboard that is 6 foot, that one of us is holding, I can't tell who, but showing the difference between 6 foot even and the top of that fence.
So I thought this photograph was important because it's oftentimes difficult to imagine what an increase in the height of the fence does from an aesthetic point of view, or for anyone passing by the property, would they know that a fence variance height had been granted? And again, this photograph was taken from the driveway to the MUA property in the rear. Switching to the fourth photograph.
This is a view from our driveway, photographed toward the MUA building, showing some of their mechanisms, and yes.
And I would also note that you could see a fence on the MUA property that's higher than the fence on Paul's property.
I think the next
Yep.
picture
You, sir, do you
shows.
agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The next
and-
photo would be better than I think.
Paul, the next photo?
The next photo is the new 8-foot MUA wooden fence that they put up within the past month or two.
They're not numbered.
Yes, it is. And then we'll go to page 6.
This is from the MUA driveway, shining toward the rear of our home, showing landscaped, finished, same fence that you saw earlier.
And then the second to last photograph, Paul?
This is the side that faces Congress Street, showing the fence and our neighbor's property.
And the final photo.
One was from the front view, this is from the rear view,
And this photograph is taken from the neighbor's property,
from the
correct?
neighbor's property.
So you can see the aesthetics on both sides of the property line.
Whose stones are they? Whose stones?
The neighbors.
The neighbor's
Is that what you're
stones?
asking?
Yep, so that last photograph is from the neighbor's side of the property to show how the fence looks from his viewpoint. So again, I thought these photographs, we wanted to make sure the board understood the aesthetics, especially in the rear of the property. Granted, this is an unusual request because the applicant did try to comply with the ordinance and code requirements. But again, when that brick wall was installed, it was installed lower than expected when the grading came in, per the approved plans. So again, we're asking for really a de minimis variance for the increase in the overall height of the fence, and an acknowledgement that it's a 5-foot-high fence on top of an approximately 1-foot-high retaining wall, depending on the grading around the property.
I take kind of issue with that after reviewing the as-built grading plan. There's a series of shots along the perimeter of of the wall on the as-built grading plan. Almost all of them are approximately 1.5 feet. So in my report, I referred to the fence height as being 6.5 feet, because we're measuring from ground to the top of the fence. No, I couldn't find anywhere where it shows a difference of 1 foot between the top of the retaining wall and the bottom elevation.
I'm sorry, just
I
so,
didn't understand the last part of your correct. Can you say that again?
I said,
You had me to
I
listen.
couldn't find any series of elevations that show 1 foot difference between the top of the retaining wall and the bottom grade of the wall. So he's making a representation that that retaining wall is 1 foot high. The grading, the as-built grading plan shows it's approximately 1.5 feet.
So what they're looking for is a 6-inch variance at most.
1.5. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. No, they're asking for, so they're asking for 5 foot in addition to 1.5. That's a total of 6.5, where 4 foot is the maximum permitted.
No.
No,
They tell me 6 was the maximum.
Well, in front, so in front yards, 4.
so, and we'll have our planner, Lance Landgraf,
Okay.
address that, but
Well, I just want to make sure we're talking about apples, the same apples here.
no, it's important. I want to make sure that the record
Yeah,
is
yeah,
clear,
so,
so, but,
But I mean, I can go around and do the math on this, but it's approximately 1.5 feet.
for the average height of the retaining wall.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul, you
so-
can't
so-
talk
so-
unless you're on a microphone.
Sorry, I will have Lance come
You can
up
take
in a moment. I know, I'm not,
No, I just.
Disagreeing with
You're
you.
saying, you mentioned it before, it was 1 foot, and you're saying it again at 1 foot. I believe it's 1.5 feet.
and if I misspoke, I was, hopefully I said it was approximately 1 feet, because the grading does
Okay.
change around this retaining wall around the property, so I wasn't trying to.
Yeah, I'm not
mislead
saying that this is the end-all be-all, but I just want to be accurate. The board may find that 1.5 feet is too much and 1 foot is appropriate, so I can't tell you.
Understood. And just, I think what's important for everyone to understand is that originally it was supposed to be a 2-foot-high retaining wall. And when it was constructed by the mason, it came in less than 2 feet. Approximately 1 foot, 1.5 feet, but it came in less than the
Okay.
2 feet. With the 5-foot-high fence on top of it is what creates that differential now above
Understood.
6 feet. And we'll have Lance speak to the maximum height allowed in the rear yard. So,
Can I just ask your client 2 questions?
yes,
Okay. First, I want to make sure this comes out clear in that when you had this fence that, you said something about, I had to order this fence before COVID. Did you order the fence before the wall was built?
Before it was completed.
Right, yes.
Yes,
So at the
before-
time you ordered the fence, you thought you were ordering a fence for a brick wall that would be 1 foot, that would be 2 feet high?
I don't recall. Sorry, it's 3 years ago.
Okay, so, okay. I'll admit that I did speak to your attorney earlier today, and I thought what he explained to me was that you had a 1.5-foot fence, a 1.5-foot wall, and that you wanted it to be a total of 6 feet. So your choices were to order a fence that was either 4 feet or 5 feet. 'Cause
Correct.
fences come in total foots.
Correct.
And you got the 5-foot because you wanted to make sure you got at least to the 6-foot high because you had the MUA behind you. That's what I understand. I didn't understand your testimony today, but that's what I understood in my discussions, and that sounded very persuasive and clear to me when I heard it. So I want to make sure it's heard again tonight. So that your choices were, when you had a 1.5-foot wall, to either order a 4-foot fence that would give you 5.5 feet, or a 5-foot fence that would give you 6.5 feet. And because you wanted to make sure you had a full-size 6-foot at least covering the MUA, you got the 5-foot fence. That's how I understood it, but I didn't hear that tonight.
I have the time frame.
Sorry, do you agree with that, or do you disagree with that?
No, I don't remember when the fence was ordered, to be honest with you. So, but obviously it must have been that we knew the wall was going to be less than what we originally intended it to be, which is why the 5-foot fence would have come up.
so, so I didn't think it was important to talk about why, some of the problems we had with construction with the retaining wall, but maybe just briefly, Paul, and I know, not the specific date, but can you describe some of the issues that happened with the retaining wall and drainage and having to pump water out and everything else when it was being constructed?
Yeah, there was a lot of problems with the wall. The wall started in '23, November of '23, and actually didn't finish till May of '24. It was over 6 months. It was flooded out many times where we had to pay to have the water pumped out of it. The gentleman that did it had a lot of personal issues, unfortunately. So there was a lot of consternation. He came back to the construction office on his own at least twice to review the grading issues because he was trying to determine where the base of the wall would be, because in his opinion, he was paid for a 2-foot wall, and that's what we're getting, even though the majority, well, a lot of it, not the majority, is underground and brick-faced, I might add. So that's what I can tell you with regards to the problems. The problems persisted. He ended up being fired, to put it in perspective, and then we're left with this. So the wall was already, I guess, either mostly in or predominantly in to let us know to show us that we're going to have to adjust the wood.
And you knew that the wall was going to be substantially
Less
less than
than-
the 2-foot required because of the grading that was necessary?
Correct.
So Paul thought that the wall was going to be approximately 1 foot, depending on the grading around the perimeter of the property, and they wanted to be able to maximize the height of the fence per code, which is why they ordered the 5-foot fence on top of what they thought was going to be a roughly 12-foot-high retaining wall, because so much of it was below grade.
Okay. And how much did you spend on the wall and fence that exists now?
I have no idea.
The wall doesn't matter. How much you spend on the fence?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, it's a cedar fence and it's a brick wall and it's a bluestone cap, so I spent a lot of money.
Okay.
I don't know if you want a number, I could look it up, I suppose, but I don't know that number. May I ask why you're asking that question?
Because sometimes the expense of making a change on a relatively small deviation can be a basis for a hardship variance. So I'm asking you the expense to come into compliance.
I think the expense to come into compliance would be really extraordinary in terms of having to rebuild a wall to bring it up to 2 feet. That's going to require regrading the entire property, where there's already an existing single-family home, detached garage, a swimming pool, decking. So making changes to the grade around the perimeter of the retaining wall it's not possible, I think. And I'll defer to the board engineer, but based upon the distance between the,
You don't have room.
there's no room. We'd be pushing stormwater onto the adjoining property, which they can't do. So,
Can you clarify one thing for me? Because the graphics on your as-built grading plan are unclear, and it's been a while since I've been out for this site. Does the fence run along the entire length of the retaining wall, wherever it is?
No.
no.
Okay, does it terminate at the face of the house?
Yes, and Lance Landgraf will testify to
Okay.
that, where its current termination is near the porch on, if you're looking at the as-built plan, on the left side of the house.
Okay, I just want to make sure that if the board approves this, that they're going to approve, because forward, in the front of the house, you're only allowed to have a 4-foot-high fence. To the rear, you're allowed to have a 6-foot-high fence.
Yeah, and I thought it would be best for Lance to testify to
Okay, I
that,
just-
but it's an important issue, we appreciate.
Yeah, I just want to
comment.
make sure that
Yes.
clarify that with the board.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so Craig, now I'm confused, because it is what I thought it was. It's a fence that's permitted to be 6 feet, that is 6 feet, 6 inches.
So the way the ordinance reads, it says fences may be constructed to 6 feet in height when located in the rear. Solid fences or walls located in any required yard area may not exceed 4 feet in height.
Okay, so is this in the front yard or in the rear yard?
That's what my question was, and they said they're going to clarify that.
Okay. What's that?
Greg, is it the side yard that faces?
This,
I mean, I see how
so
the house is
the way that we determine
situated
front and rear is rearward of the house.
for the rear.
Right, so the front yard is between the building face and the right-of-way line. So you can't have a 6-foot-high fence go any forward of the building face. Okay? So that's why I asked that question. So, I just want to, I'm trying to qualify and quantify what's being asked for.
And it does not, and Lance has actually visited the property. He was there just a couple of hours ago, so he'll speak to his visit to the property and what the existing improvements are, where they tie into the house to show that it's in the rear yard.
Can I just, one clarifying question? When was this fence built?
When was the fence installed, Paul?
After the wall, you mean?
Because you're saying you're there in May 2024?
The retaining wall started in November of '23. The wooden fence was installed June of '24.
June of 24. Okay, I guess I'm not understanding how, did you not have HPC approval for this?
We have materials approval for this.
Okay, because I had the denial letter from the HPC, that's what I,
That's for a different issue.
There was a separate issue, denial from the HPC for a portion of the, I'll call it the faux black iron, wrought iron fence surrounding the pool. That denial was not related to the perimeter cedar privacy fence. Paul, is that correct?
Correct.
Along those same lines, the HPC report says that they wanted a 5-foot-high limitation on the fence. The HPC, they also said that all fencing is required to comply with height requirements. but the HPC says that they were looking for a 5-foot fence.
Would-
In the HPC report, it says 5 foot. Just,
Correct, but Paul, when you were before the HPC, I think now 3 years ago, the plan showed the 2-foot-high retaining wall, correct?
2-foot retaining wall, 4-foot fence, 6-foot total.
So the HPC knew that there was going to be an approximately 2-foot-high retaining wall with the cedar privacy fence on top, not to exceed the maximum height allowed.
they also asked for picket top, solid board picket top.
They did not change the fence. We showed them the picture.
This is what you put in your application. It's supposed to be a picket fence.
We don't enforce the HPC.
No, I'm just-
And we require all other approvals. So if they're violating the HPC, someone will have to deal with that.
So I just want to make clear, though, Rich, that we're not trying, this application isn't for us to go against the HPC.
Right. Yeah, I don't want to.
Right, that's my point, because if they were denied
They've
the,
not filed an appeal of any decision of the HPC, to my knowledge.
No, we're simply asking for the height variance for the fence.
okay, so then you're going to go back to the HPC?
Yeah, if this does not comply with an HPC condition, we would have to go back to the HPC, that's correct.
Okay, because this letter was dated October 21st, 2024,
No,
the
no,
denial.
So it's not clear in that October 2024 letter, and Paul will correct me if I'm wrong, because I did not represent him before the HPC, but that application to the HPC that was denied, that generated that October 2024 letter, was not related to the perimeter fence that we are dealing with this evening before the board.
There's a second fence?
There's an interior fence around the pool in the backyard.
Okay,
And it was a question whether that fence had to be cedar, wood, or whether it could be the, I'll call it black faux wrought iron. That was the denial from the HPC. So apologies for the confusion, but that October 2024 letter denial is not related to the perimeter fence.
Just so we're clear, to put a point on it, nothing we're doing here, even if we grant the variance, is intended to alter any prior decision of the HPC.
Understood.
Okay? If you want us to change something they did, you have to file an appeal of that to us. Okay?
Understood.
All right, fine. So everyone can just, they're not really offering HPC compliance as a purpose of zoning anyway, so it's just not something that should be a critical analysis in our review. But I just, at present, it's my understanding that what you're seeking is a 6-inch variance for the height of the fence,
Correct.
assuming that we come to the conclusion that it is in the rear yard, which it sounds like Craig isn't strongly disagreeing at the moment, and the professional's going to tell us that it's in the rear yard. That's what we're dealing with tonight,
Correct.
okay? And even if they hadn't built it, you might want to give some thought to whether or not a 6-inch higher fence next to the MUA building would be an appropriate variance to grant in the abstract, even if they hadn't already built it. So there's two things going on here. They're claiming purposes of zoning by having a fence that is a little higher, but since they're near the MUA building, that apparently has a higher fence there as well, that they might be entitled to that variance under the C2 standard, and under the C1 standard, they're arguing a hardship because they've already built the fence, and it was unintentional due to something having to do with the masons.
And Lance will be
Performance.
putting all that testimony on the record in support of the requested variance. But I thought it was important for Paul to come up first as a fact witness to talk about the history and how we got here.
Yeah, it's just important that it's not a 1.5-foot variance, it's a 6-inch variance. I just want to make sure that we're all on that page, so maybe we should hear from Mr. Lambert.
Rich, I just don't know if I agree with you until we hear from,
I'm not asking you to
Craig.
agree with me, I'm just telling you what Craig has said so far, and
I've asked for more information.
and they're-
I
Yeah,
have a
'cause-
planner that's
and-
going to, that's going.
and that the planner is going to provide testimony. If you don't find the testimony credible, you can reject it.
And if there's no further questions for Paul, we can bring up Lance now to start his planning testimony.
Yep, you may do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you, Board.
Good evening. Rick.
Lance, you've already been sworn, but just for the record, can you put your qualifications, experience, and education and-
Sure.
and licenses on the record?
Sure. So I have a degree from Bloomsburg University in urban regional planning from 1986. I've been practicing 30-plus, 36 years now. Started out my career in Cape May County, actually with Lower Township, as their grants coordinator and zoning officer many, many years ago. If you guys remember Harry McVeigh, he was the planning director there a long time ago. So I'm currently licensed as a planner, also have my AICP certification. I currently sit as the Director of Planning at the Casino Reinvestment Development Authority in Atlantic City. Also elected official in my town of Ventnor City, so I sit on their planning board as a commissioner. Sit as the planner for the city of Brigantine for the last 28 years and continuing that. Represented Mullica Township, Northfield, Port Republic for a little bit. Prepared master plans, land use regulations for the city of Brigantine and the tourism district in Atlantic City as well as Mullica Township.
I would ask that Lance be recognized as an expert in the field of planning in New Jersey.
Yes, we would.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lance, you've heard all of Paul's testimony about the wall and the fence and the height. You've also heard questions regarding the fence and whether it's in the rear yard or the side yard.
Right.
If you could just go through your testimony and your proof, but specifically answer those questions as well.
Yeah, first, just to talk about where the fence is located. The first exhibit, A2, the first sheet there, that is looking from the rear yard to the front of the property. And you can see the fence down the left-hand side, and then it has an L, a 90-degree, that comes back to the house. That is midway between the front of the house and what is actually the back corner you see of the home is actually a porch. It doesn't have a foundation. It's an enclosed kind of a porch. So the fence ends at the back of what is considered the main principal structure because it ends at the back of the foundation of the home. The front of the house is about 10 or 15 feet forward towards the street. So the fence is in a rear yard by your definition. It is behind the face of the home. So that is a rear yard fence. I agree with Craig, anything in front of the home, Mr. Hurlis, I should say, we all know each other in this
We're
world.
friends.
We all know each other. I follow him on Facebook, all his fishing excursions, so jealous. If this was in front of the home, then it would have to be limited to a 4-foot-high fence. I absolutely agree with that. But we are behind that front face by, I'm going to say, maybe 12 feet or so. I paced it off, I'm going to say 10 or 12 feet behind the face of the building. So it is in what's considered under your ordinance a rear yard. The same for the other sides of the home that goes back towards the MUA facility. That is definitely the rear yard of the property. So I think it does fall under your rear yard, 6-foot permitted height with that regard. I don't know if there's any questions on that at all. Just, I want to get that solved first before we go into anything else.
On the Cape Hart Lane side, there's no issue either?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitively in the rear
That
yard.
picture showed the pool side.
It did.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, if you look at where the third picture, where he's holding the 6-foot-high stake, that's actually not a front yard there. That is actually a lot that is owned by the city of Cape May.
Right.
That divides this property from the driveway for the MUA. If you look at the survey, it shows
No,
that
I
area there.
understand that. I just want to make sure
Yep.
that when you get granted your approvals, that you're not going to have any issues with the zoning official to make sure that, I just want to make sure
Right.
that you're asking for what you need.
Yep, absolutely. So in defense of that, actually, the plan.
Why is it hard for us to understand this? Isn't there a plan that shows where the fence is on the plan?
No, it's very.
It is difficult to read.
Look at Mr. Landgraf and have him draw on it where the fence is, and then we have an exhibit that tells us where the fence is.
I've
It's a
already
half hour to
drawn
find
on
out where a
mine.
fence is and
Draw
variance
on
about a
clean
fence.
Copy,
Sure, I got one here.
because I drew an estimate of mine, but
We write these things
I
down.
have a larger version of it. if you
Oh,
want.
do you?
Yeah.
Larger would be better, because this
the
is,
graphics on this plan don't show the fence very well.
Someone take a crayon and just draw where
I have
the
a-
fence is on a
I have a red pen. I don't carry crayons with me anymore. I try to stop that after.
There's one that stops here, but I don't know what side where it stops.
All right, so it starts at roughly the back corner by Cape Hart Lane. There's a large concrete monument there. This is very narrow, but you can see, runs along there, along the back. And it says flagstone wall, and on top of that flagstone wall is the fence.
Yeah, but the flagstone wall extends all the way out to the right of way.
It does, so it does continue for grading purposes. and I drew-
Yeah, so that's why I'm having a hard time on that side. I don't know where the fence stops, because it shows
If you see where
fence.
5.39 is there,
Yes.
it stops right there.
Let's just draw the picture and then show
Yeah,
it to them.
just
We'll
draw
mark
it and
as an
submit it as an
exhibit.
exhibit, please.
And then as long as your fence is where that exhibit shows, and Mr. Hurlis says that that exhibit shows it in the rear yard, then you got what you got.
Comes all the way down to.
We marked this as Exhibit A3.
Okay.
We're going to mark
Right.
A4 with the red line.
This side, this is where the picture illustrated, so I know it goes all the
different
way
than
here.
A3. It's got a red
Is
line
there
on
any
it now, so
extension
it's
of the fence along here?
E1 was the
Okay.
original survey, so this A2 were the photographs.
Okay, perfect.
Couldn't put the fence on top there because you wouldn't be able to.
That clarifies everything. We're good.
Okay, there you go.
We're good.
See that? Okay, so exhibit A4, is it 4?
I think it's 3.
Okay, exhibit A3
He's permitted to have a 6-foot-high fence in all the areas that he's.
is the final as-built with a red line depicting the location of the fence.
And we're going to give that, no, we're going to give it to the secretary.
So as long as you build where that red line is, then you are in the rear yard. It can be 6 feet high, so we have a 6-inch variance on the fence.
Perfect.
All right.
The red line does go beyond there a little bit, but it does stop.
The photo on that side verifies that. Thank you.
All right. We know where the fence is now.
Pass that around.
Okay, you want me to go through my?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
all right, so, the current zoning, Mr. Floyd has gone through some of that already. The initial design of the fence was, as we've discussed, a 2-foot-high brick wall. We believe the brick is actually 2 feet, but most of it is buried, or a good portion of it is buried, with a 4-foot solid wooden fence on top of that brick wall. Maximum permitted height is 6 feet from grade in the rear yard, and as we've just discussed. This fence is only proposed where we believe it is in the rear yard, as discussed in A3 and sketched in on A3. Fence is behind the principal structure and is considered in the rear yard, just to clarify that. I had the same thing in my notes as well. What we're proposing there is to keep the just over 6 foot up to 6.5 feet of fence. Grading of the site altered the wall height, and the maximum height of the brick wall was just 14 inches, not the 2 foot that was originally designed. On top of the brick wall, the 5-foot-high solid wood fence was installed. Portions of that fence and the wall combination still meets the maximum height of 6 feet, but a good portion of it is over that 6 foot. It is 6.5, 6 foot 3 inches, 4 inches in some places. It's our understanding that the combination of materials, the wood and brick wall, was permitted to be a maximum of 6 foot in height, both on the side yard and the rear yard, really the rear yards here, under the approvals and the building permits that received. So they did get permits for a 6-foot-high combination of materials, wall and fence. So they did get permission to put it where it's located. It's just because of the final grading of the site, would have been nice if the grading was a little half foot more higher on the outside of the wall. Because on the inside, it's at 5 feet. The inside grading is right at the top of that retaining wall. So where we measure it from is the outside, though, and that's the issue. That's where we create the 6 foot 5 inches.
Where does it say that? I'm not, if you don't know the answer without looking at.
I don't know that it
Where
says
does
it
say
anywhere.
that you measure on the side? I actually had a lawsuit over whether you measure the inside or the outside, and it was a pool case.
I guess you would, at its highest point.
Okay.
You would measure it at its highest point. So that would be from the outside, because the reason for the retaining wall is they had to fill the inside of that area several feet. I didn't look at the plans originally, but the inside is at the top of that retaining wall. You don't see, and I don't think are there any pictures? Yeah, the one right after the 6-foot stick picture, that is from the inside. You can see the grass level right at the base of the fence, the wooden fence. The grass is right there. So on the inside, you don't see much of this retaining wall. The grade
Not
comes,
to bore you with a war story, but ours was a pool, and the outside of the fence, the inside of the fence had to be, I don't know, whatever a pool requires, 48 inches.
right.
The outside of the fence was only 43 inches, so they were fighting over whether or not they had a fence high enough for a pool, to protect a pool, and
Right.
if it's small, the idea was to keep people out or in, just keep them out, so the outside was the right
Right.
measurement, at least half the people thought so, the other half didn't. So I was curious if our ordinance actually said you measure on the inside or the outside.
I don't know, the ordinance defines that.
All right, well, I guess we'll assume it's the outside.
Yeah.
Since that's the one that requires the
It's a
variance.
conservative way to do it right now for this application.
Yeah.
This one,
Measure
yeah.
it on the outside.
All right, go ahead.
So, just to be clear, so the inside of the fence is actually 5 feet, and the outside is the 6.5 in most of the areas. Existing grade, if they would have graded, if could have graded the outside a little bit higher, but we had to match what the neighbors had. You couldn't really grade that. And you see the one neighbor actually put in a French drain there to help his own drainage against that wall. So that one photograph does show that, that stone area that the neighbor put in up against the wall. That was installed by the neighbor, and it seems to be working very well. The area was dry when I was there. The fence does require variance, as Mr. Hurlis indicated, under 525-57E3, where we do exceed the 6-foot height in the rear yard. So I look at this both ways. It could be a hardship variance or a C2 type variance. I'll put on the hardship variance first. Requesting a bulk variance to permit fencing in the rear yard that exceeds the minimum height permitted in the zoning ordinance. The applicant proposes a 6.5-foot high fence to provide buffering, privacy, and safety. The 5-foot solid fence is located on top of the brick wall that ranges in height from 1 foot to 16 inches, depending on the grade around the outside of the fence. Style of the fence that was approved is what we used. We used the same materials, the wood on top of the brick wall. We just did the proportions different because the brick wall ended up being shorter. So we added a 5-foot fence instead of a 4-foot. Still thinking we had 6 foot to work with, and then the measurements came back and it was just, for the most part of it, I think it's less than 6.5 feet, but there are spots that are 6.5 feet in depth. I think some of it, I stood next to it, I'm 6'2". There's some of it that is right at my height, and there's some of, an inch or two taller. The 6'6" total fence height, fence acts as a direct line of sight buffer for the pool, the rear yard of the home, and into the county's MUA facility. It is a pumping station for the MUA. There's photographs of that shown in Exhibit A2.
Are we doing the C1 standard still?
Yes, going through that. Well, I'm kind of describing the whole thing. The C1s are coming in a second. I'll get there.
I thought you were doing C1, but they sound like C2s.
I'm putting everything on, describing what was done, and then I'll get
I'm
into
trying to
this.
take accurate notes. It just gets confusing.
I can hand you these when I'm done.
That'll be good. You're doing the C2. Go ahead.
Kind of describing what was done in defense of both sides. So C1, the hardship, the applicant's property's unique elevation change and requirements. The construction in a flood zone requires the structure and the property to be elevated. They did that. The site is elevated 2+ feet around the surrounding property, above the surrounding property to meet the flood elevation requirements and the standard grading of the site. As I said, interior to the wall, the retaining wall, we are level with the top of that wall. The adjacent parcels are lower than the subject site, creating a need for the retaining wall at the fence's base. This creates a unique scenario specific to these adjacent parcels where the grading on the site needed that retaining wall, and we have to measure from that outside. In my opinion, that's the appropriate location to measure from to assist with the elevation change. We built that wall, and now the height is a little off from what was anticipated. Hardship variance, to define what that is, the board may, by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape, or by reason of exceptional topographic conditions or physical features, or by reason of extraordinary and exceptional situation uniquely affecting a specific piece of property, where the strict application of any regulation would be an exceptional peculiar hardship or difficulty for the applicant. So that's under the C1 type variance. It's my opinion that approval requested under the C1 is warranted. The C2 type, if the board members don't agree with that, or your professionals don't agree with that, the C2 would be the more flexible C. We used to call it the flexible C, the purposes of zoning variance. So I think purpose A, to provide public health, safety, morals, and general welfare, allows the appropriate screening from the adjoining property and into our property as well. You want to screen your pool from neighboring sites. And the county MUA building, it's not an attractive structure. They have lighting on that property 24/7. Well, at night it runs. It was there today. It was on today when I was there. So the light is on all the time. Also allows for site security on our property and allows for site safety surrounding the pool. Purpose G, to provide sufficient space and appropriate location. We're in a residential zone. We're allowed to have a 6-foot fence in our rear yard. We just exceed that by a half a foot in some locations, again, due to some grading issues that we've had on the property. So I think purpose G, purpose of the fence is located in an appropriate location. It's allowed to be in a rear yard to provide the needed screening. That's where the bulk of our screening is needed. I will say this, that the adjoining property to the right of the site, it's their driveway, so it's also not a great area to have looking out of your backyard. So this fence provides a buffer to the neighbor's driveway as well, and not just the MUA facility. The height, for the most part, we think only, not the entire fence is 6'5". There are pieces of it that are 6'1", 6'2". You can see by the photograph that it's about 4 inches taller there, so that's just under that 6'5" request for the variance. And purpose I, to promote a desirable visual environment, we believe the fencing is aesthetically pleasing. It meets the intent of what the HPC was asking for. The materials are the same, just the proportions are a little different. We have less than a 2-foot brick wall visible. We think we did pay for a 2-foot brick wall, but most of that is buried by the grading. We provide the buffer that's needed for the MUA facility, and the fencing particular benefit is additional buffers to the rear of the property and the public utility use. We also have to show the negative criteria. No variance may be granted without showing that such relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan or ordinance. In defense of that, there'll be limited or no off-site impacts. To see a 6-foot difference in a 6-foot-high fence, you can see it by exhibit, what will say, 8.823.
Photograph 3.
It's literally 6 inches taller by hand. The impact of surrounding properties is beneficial to both, in our opinion. Provides safety measures to protect the pool on the site, and the fencing will provide buffering to off-site public facilities. The most impacted neighbor, we understand, is not objecting to the fence. They're immediately adjacent to the property. The impact of the surrounding properties, in our opinion, is very limited. The relief requested is not a substantial impairment or very minor differentiation from your requirements. The 6 inches or less is not significant, in my opinion, on a 6-foot-tall structure. And for all those reasons, I think the 6-foot-high fence will not be a substantial detriment to the public good or impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan.
Thank you, Lance.
That's all I have.
Okay, any questions?
Did you ever consider putting a 4-foot fence rather than a 5-foot fence above that to make sure that you were within the 6-foot level?
So you'd have to ask that of the applicant. I think he answered that when he said he looked at the 4 and it would not give him the appropriate buffer to the MUA to the rear of the property. A 4-foot fence would have, from the inside, would have come up to me just about less than chest high.
A 4-foot above the retaining wall?
Right, but from the inside of the property, the grade is at the top of that retaining wall.
Right.
So from the inside of the property, the fence is 5 feet as built. So a 4-foot-high fence would have not given him any buffer to any of the surrounding properties, specifically the MUA facility.
Yeah, I mean, it is a privacy fence.
It is a privacy fence. I'd like to hear what the neighbors, if there's any neighbors here, to say.
Okay.
Yeah, but the impact, because you made a comment about only a driveway across on from the right side of the property. And I know the people that live there have been there for a long time, and they might not be happy about this.
Okay. It's my understanding that they have no issue with it, so.
Right.
Capehart Lane is the side yard, right? And then Claghorn is the front on the top of the paper, right?
So Claghorn is the front, and Capehart, we don't front on Capehart Lane.
Right, that's the side.
Correct.
Correct. We have no fencing along that property.
Right, okay,
Yep.
I'm just trying to get.
No, I'm open to the questions.
And right now, you said there is a pool there.
Yes, ma'am. And then there's a garage behind the pool.
And there's no fence around the pool?
No,
Like-
there is a fence around the pool. It does comply with the UCC and the city code requirements. The denial from the HPC was the material of a portion of that fence around the pool. But the pool fence is compliant with construction code
Okay,
requirements.
no, my question wasn't really towards that. It was just the fact that you're putting this whole fence in. I just want to make sure there was no other fence in between that
There
and
was
the
an
pool.
aluminum wrought iron fence right, that's kind of two different types of fence. It looks like a wrought iron fence, but it's aluminum around the pool area,
Okay.
because it is open to that driveway.
Right,
If
that's
you didn't
what
have
my
a fence,
point-
you would need
yeah.
a fence around the pool, and
Okay.
they do have that.
Okay.
And that is a 4-foot, you can see right through it, it's the old wrought iron style aluminum fence.
My question, I guess, is to Craig. When they say rear yard versus, like when it says side yard, at what point does the fence, when it comes off of the side, become part of the front yard or the rear yard? Is it,
So your definition of front yard setback is between the right-of-way line and the face of the structure.
so it's the face? Because
Right.
So it
That's your
could,
definition of front yard.
so it couldn't be level with the house, or that would be considered the front of the yard, correct?
I believe it has to be to the rear of that.
Right, and that's
And
my,
they-
I guess my
they
point is,
demonstrated that it is.
my point is, how many feet considers it to be the rear? Do they just have to go back a foot or two to be off of the front of the house?
I'm going to tell you what the language says.
Okay.
Fences may be constructed to 6 feet in height when located in the rear.
Okay, why I'm asking this is because we had that house on Veluda, whatever front backyard over was issue, and that, I think they had stated that it had to be from the back of the house for it to be the rear of the house.
What are we talking about? Velvento, that one?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Velvento, right?
right, yeah.
That was a corner lot,
That was for 2 front yards.
had 2 front yards, and it
Okay.
went all the way to the curb in the front yard.
There was no
It's
rear yard
nothing like
issue
this.
on that one.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out when it became
When it gets past the front of the house.
just from the front of the house. It can go right to the
I mean,
side of
it's
the
a
house?
complicated definition, but when it goes into the front yard, it's in the front yard. So when it goes past the front of the house, then you're in the front yard.
Okay, I was just trying to know if there was
I know,
a,
I'm just trying to keep it very simple. When it's
Yeah.
past the front of the house, it's in the front yard. That's what it all is, that's what it says.
okay.
When it's not in the front yard, it's not in the front, when it's not in the front yard, it's okay.
Any other questions? Craig, are you ready to do your review?
Sure. I'd like to quickly summarize my August 1st, 2025 review memorandum. With regards to completeness, they requested a waiver from item 13. I supported that. Item number 18, which is, we become record holders should the board approve this, so we ask for the approval signature blocks be added to the plan as a condition of approval. The Vulcan area review that I did on page 2 of 4 really relates to the property, has no bearing on this application really. In regards to the fence height is the only variance that's being requested. So the requirement is under section 525-57E3, and that whole section is contained in that first paragraph on page 3 of 4. They are proposing a 6.5, approximately 6.5, it jogs a little bit, but on average, it's 6.5 feet high fence where the maximum permitted is 6 feet. Okay, that's the variance. With regards to conditions of approval, that should be general review comments, 1 through 6. Items 1 through 3 are more record-keeping. That should just be cleaning up the plans. We become record keepers. We want to have a good record of what variances that were granted tonight. Item number 4, 5, and 6 are our standard conditions. And just with regards to the other review memos that we received, the fire department recommended approval dated 9/2/25 with no comments. Public Works Department recommended approval dated 9/2/25, no comments. Shade Tree Commission recommended approval indicating no trees are involved, and that was dated no date. It was received September 10, 2025. How's that? So those, and then there was mention of the HPC ultimately required to comply with the HPC approval. I think that's Rich's opinion on that.
What was my opinion?
That ultimately they have to comply with the HPC approval. We're not undoing any of their approval.
Yeah, but it's not just my opinion. The applicant understands that we are not overruling the HPC.
Understood.
So
Okay.
I don't want it to be just my opinion. They acknowledge that, so that's just how it is.
Gotcha. That's why you're the attorney, and make sure the language is correct.
Right, no, I just, I'm careful about my opinions.
Okay, so that was a summary. I'm happy to answer any questions the board has, but other than that, you've heard testimony with regards to the C1 and C2 criteria in regards to the variance, and you can weigh that accordingly.
I'm still confused about, I'm confused about the location of the front of the house. They're saying it's on Claghorn?
So the location of the front of the house
Right, where
is
you come
located
off-
on
where-
Claghorn Place.
where you
There's
come
no,
off-
there's no frontage on Cape Port Lane because there's an actual lot, a very narrow lot
Right.
that runs in between here. So
So they're saying they're facing?
Claghorn is the front of the property.
Okay,
So that's a front
That's on
yard.
Claghorn.
You have two
Okay.
sides, and opposite Claghorn is a rear yard,
okay, so this is,
okay?
so this is the side.
And they've
Okay.
demonstrated through testimony and Mr. Landgraf's diagram on this plan that that fence is located rearward of the face of that property, of the
one that's
face of
up there
that
already.
structure.
It is.
So,
So we're really dealing with the
Okay.
pre-existing fence that you have up now, not
That's
one you're
correct,
going to put
correct.
on the other side of the house.
That's correct.
Okay.
Are there any more questions for Craig?
I just had to make sure that regardless of the fact that there is a HGC from 2022, that was in the packet, that was, that you'll have to comply with that either way, right?
Correct. We will comply with any HPC requirements.
Okay, at this point, we'd like to open it up to anyone within 200 feet. You can go up to the podium and state your name and address. Is that it? Name and address?
When you come to the podium, please state your name, spell your name, and then say your address, and then I will swear you in.
Bill Conrad, C-O-N-R-A-D, 347 Congress Street.
I'm sorry, 347 what?
Congress Street.
Congress, okay, we hadn't heard that one yet. Are you within 200 feet?
I'm sorry?
Are you within 200 feet? Are you within 200 feet of the, did you get a notice in the mail?
I didn't measure it, but I'm right around the corner from the property.
If you got something in the mail, then you're within 200 feet. Okay.
Yeah, I did get a
Microphone
variance.
on?
Pardon me?
Is that microphone on?
Yes, it is.
There you go. Okay, good.
Can't hear me?
Now I can, yes.
All right, sir, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
I do.
God? All right, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
I'd just like to say that I have seen the fence, and I have no problem with it. I think the improvements that Mr. Grana made to this property have been fantastic, and I have no issue with this fence at all, and I think that it should be granted. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else within 200 feet?
Okay, sir, please state your name, spell your last name, then give me your address, and then I'll swear you in.
Martin Van Walsum, V-A-N, space, W-A-L-S-U-M, as in Mary. 329 Congress Street. I am the person that is abutting the fence in question along the one property line. We share the property line that most of the largest run of the fence is on. It is my French drain that you were noting in the pictures because we had some flooding that was occurring in between my garage and the retaining wall that was built. The French drain has taken care of it 100%. It has been a terrific addition to our adjoining yards. My wife is watching at home, and she and I both object, Mr. Landgraf, to your description of our driveway. We think our driveway is actually very pretty.
I didn't
It's
say
a
it was
Jersey
bad.
white stone driveway, and
It is, sorry, I apologize. I just said looking at a driveway, so.
they say that good fences make good neighbors. Mr. Grena and Mr. Clancy have been great neighbors. We have a terrific relationship. The fence isn't necessary for them to be good neighbors to us. I watched them suffer through the building of that wall the entire time. We live in our home roughly, I'm there about 70% of the time. So I witnessed from day one, the mason was completely unprepared to deal with the groundwater situation, which is only about 20 inches below grade. We actually had to revise our drainage system, Mr. Hurlish, if you remember at all, our property, because the drainage system couldn't use a 12-inch pipe. It would have been half full with water all the time. When the mason showed up and started to dig the trench, they ran into groundwater, and they were trying to use a Home Depot pump to get the water out of there, and I told them that was never going to work. Mr. Grenna and Mr. Clancy eventually had to bring in an entire crew of people to pump those drains out, including piping and a lot of equipment that was necessary, much of it on my property, but we understood the situation and we worked it out. The mason also, in the process of digging that trench, severed half the root structure of a beautiful, healthy, mature maple tree that we then had to take down. And it was promised to us that wouldn't happen, and it was the very first thing that they did. So when Mr. Grenna says that they fired this mason for very good reason. The mason is the reason that Mr. Grenna and Mr. Clancy ran into such problems, because he never did anything that he was supposed to do. It took a tremendously long time to build this very simple retaining wall. So the resulting field decision that was made to put the 5-foot fence to deal specifically with the variance that's being issued, you can see I'm 6'5". A 6'6" fence is actually terrific for me, because it allows me to not see whether Mr. Grenna and Mr. Clancy are entertaining anybody at their pool as I'm doing my endless yard work down here. I actually like the fence at the height that it's at. Ms. Notch, to answer your question, a 4-foot fence would be a detriment, in my opinion, on top of this wall, because it would allow us to fully see everything that's going on in the Grenna's Clancy's backyard. So I'm very happy that they chose the 5-foot fence on top of the 1 to 1.5 foot retaining wall. It's a pretty fence. It is providing a tremendous amount of privacy. We have absolutely no objection to it whatsoever, and we think it has been a huge benefit to the neighborhood to have this fence from a privacy perspective.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else within 200 feet? Anyone beyond 200 feet? No? All right, we'll close it to the public. Your motion?
The motion I'd recommend being made, but how you vote is up to you, is a motion to grant the variance for the fence height set forth on page, oh, there it is, little one, on the top of page 3, the engineer's report, subject to the conditions outlined in the engineer's report, and with the caveat that nothing we've done here has overruled anything the HPC has done, and if they need to approve this fence, then you have to get that approval. But that's the motion I'd recommend being made, but how you vote is up to you.
I'll make the motion.
I make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Sheehan motions, Mr. Zexer seconds. Mr. Ledwin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
No.
Ms. Sheehan?
Reasons, just so they're on the record, because
Reason, because it exceeds the 6 foot, like, it could have been, maybe before you even finished it, it should have been, we've had this before where people come and then they beg for forgiveness after when it's done. But the height is supposed to be 6 feet, and it's more than 6.
Thank you. I'm supposed to have reasons, yes and no, so I just want to write them down.
Okay.
I got it, thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Yeager?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Rich.
Best laid
seeing you,
plans,
Lance.
we come in trying to,
Keep fishing. He doesn't fish anymore, he just hunts. He gave up on fishing. I never get any fishing reports from him.
You been fishing? I saw something fishing.
No, I'm chasing a big deer around the woods.
He's chasing a big deer around the That's what he's doing.
And maybe it's, I don't know, fence height, setback, who knows what it is.
Okay.
I think we have to talk to each other better.
You have a business relationship with him?
I guess you're allowed to if you're not within.
Guy's got good neighbors.
As a general rule, someone in the neighborhood is knowing someone and even knowing them well. Not necessarily, you don't have a financial relationship, and their application doesn't impact your property. You don't have to have a conflict. But if you're uncomfortable, do we still have 7 without you? You're good. Yeah, and it'll make an even number as well, which I don't like. So, no, it's fine. What's that? Yeah, but he's the 7th voter, isn't he? Oh, wait, I'm not counting the chair.
3, 4.
All right, well, then you're out. We have 7, it's fine. So if you're uncomfortable, it's fine.
The 7th voter.
Okay, Mr. Yeager, he is,
still sit there.
he's friendly with the applicant. As I've explained, in towns, everybody knows everybody, and if friendship was a reason to not vote, we would never have a quorum. So if you don't have a financial information and you're not with a financial relationship and you're not within 200 feet, as a general rule, I don't view that as a conflict. And if we only had, if that made 6 members instead of 7, I would say you should vote. But since we have 7 without you and you felt some discomfort, I would just as well have you not vote, because that way it can't be questioned, okay?
And if you want to go home early, you can.
Then you can go home.
Just sealed the deal there.
Uh-oh, he's leaving. Okay, our next application is McFarland Associates LLC, 112 Madison Avenue.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Anthony Monzo from Monzo Catanese Delalis, representing the applicant, McFarland Associates LLC. Last time I was here on 2 applications, I think it was the planning board, I was mistaken for Lou Dwyer. But it was a compliment, actually. He was an excellent land use attorney.
I'm not sure I would say that.
So this is a building on Madison Avenue. It's a home that has, I believe, 7 bedrooms, and there's also a small one-bedroom or two-bedroom, one-bedroom apartment, 2 stories in the back. It's a pre-existing non-conforming use. The home is in the historic districts, and it's a contributing building. With me, on behalf of McFarland Associates, is Rob Wilson, who's a principal. You may remember his father, Bruce Wilson, who was a longtime Cape May person who worked with the city for several years on Sewell Point. And also, we have Chris Zender, who's a licensed architect, planner, and engineer, who will provide the testimony to support the variances that we're seeking. You want to swear them in first, and then I'll go through just my introduction on this.
If each of you please raise your right hand, and Mr. Hurlis remains under oath. Do each of you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
So, again, this property is a 7-bedroom historic building contributing, and the only part of this project that is being done is there's a 2nd floor, or maybe a 3rd floor, 2nd floor porch that's, it's a covered porch, but it's open. They want to enclose it and make it living space, which increases gross floor area, although it does not trigger a floor area ratio. And because there are nonconformities with respect to use, also with respect to lot size, lot width, lot frontage, and it's in the side yard setback, it triggers a host of variances. So what we have is just a small enclosure of a building with no expansion, just enclosing what's already there. that's triggering these variances. And lastly, there's an encroaching driveway onto an adjoining property that's controlled, again, by the same applicant, and there will be an easement to address that. But also, one of the parking spaces is partially on grass, and Mr. Hurlis in his report suggested that there be hard surface for all the parking, so there's an extension of the stone driveway, which slightly increases lot coverage. It's already over, so it's over a little bit more, so there'll be a lot coverage variance along with the other bulk variances, and also the D variance, which is an expansion of a nonconforming use. So with that background, I'd like to have first Mr. Wilson explain the project and give you some history and what he's doing there.
Sure, thank you. The house at 112 Madison Avenue has been in our family. My dad bought it back in '86, and he passed away about 2 or 3 years ago, and I ended up buying it. It was actually, my dad being a lawyer and wanting no issues, he put it in a trust, and that's what McFarland Associates LLC was in. It was an LLC that was formed, so that it was out of his estate and kind of stuff like that. So I ended up buying it. We thought about selling the house, so I bought the house 2 years ago from my siblings, and we've been making improvements to the house. It was originally, it's a 1905 house. It was built an 8-bedroom house, and the houses, teeny tiny closets, and very, small bedrooms, and it had 2 bathrooms on the second floor, 1 bathroom on the third floor for an 8-bedroom house it was originally. So last year we did an improvement. We combined 2 of the bedrooms, so we made a master suite with a bathroom there.
Excuse me, Mr. Wilson, can you bring that mic closer? Everybody bring the mic close, please. Thank you.
Yep. And so we made that improvement. But we've brought the house back all to, we've refinished all the interior floors, stripped the doors. We really, I salvaged all of the interior sconces and all that stuff. So I do appreciate the history in the house. So our goal is, in this one, is we have a porch, which was an addition that put on at some point in time. I can't tell you when it was put on. It's at the back of the house, and so we would like to enclose the second floor porch and turn it into another bathroom, so that another bedroom has a bathroom attached to it. It currently has a screen porch. It's not really that well built. The screens fly out of it in the winter, and we retrieve them and we put them back in. So I think it will be an improvement on the appearance of the house. And as Mr. Monzo mentioned, we have an adjacent lot also. My nieces actually have a garden on it there now. So we have no intention of changing that, and I'm the trustee of that property also.
And you did receive HPC approval for this?
Yes, we
project?
have HPC approval.
And just for the record, HPC granted final approval, not knowing that a variance was required until he went for the permits, and they indicated that because it's an increase in floor area, gross floor area, it triggers the variance. So otherwise, it would have been a conceptual approval prior to getting zoning board approval. I have no further questions for Mr. Wilson. I'd like to go to Mr. Zender, and I'd like him to put his credentials on the record and ask the board to accept him as an expert.
Good evening. My name is Chris Zender. My professional address is 617 Stokes Road in Medford, New Jersey. I graduated the New Jersey Institute of Technology in the year 2000. Remember that, the 2000s. I've been practicing as a licensed professional for about 21 years approximately. I'm also a professional engineer and professional planner, licensed in 9 states. I testify before historic boards, land use boards, dozens of times a year in the state of New Jersey. I last appeared in Cape May over the summer for the HPC component of this application.
Did you say you were an architect, planner, and engineer?
Yes, all 3. My licenses are all current and good standing with the state.
Okay.
Okay,
Acceptable.
Thank you.
Mr. Zender, could you, I should have gone through this in my introduction, but can you just go through the variances, identify them, and,
Certainly, I'll list the variances. First, we have the use variance, which is why we're before you tonight. This is because we have the nonconformity of a one-bedroom apartment that pre-exists the ordinance change restricting that in the RS district. With the proposed expansion, as you heard, we need to come back because we are increasing living space. Additionally, we have a lot size variance. The lot is a couple hundred square feet under the minimum requirements. We have a lot width variance. The minimum lot width in this zone is 50 feet, whereas the existing lot is 45 feet wide. We have a lot frontage variance of the same values, 50 and 45. We have a side yard variance due to a bay window on the north side of the house, I believe. And we have a lot coverage variance. 45% is the maximum lot coverage in this zone. The existing property had a 48.7% lot coverage, and we have increased that to 49.9 due to the parking requirements linked to the bedrooms, and that includes the apartment behind based upon the RSIS standards.
so if we can focus on the use variance first. If you can articulate the standard for use variance and then go through the special reasons, positive criteria, site suitability, and negative criteria.
Certainly. So for the use variance, we have the expansion of a non-conforming use, and we need to demonstrate a few items in order to justify the variance. First, we need to demonstrate special reasons, which are the advancement of the purposes of zoning, known as positive criteria. We need to satisfy the negative criteria, which includes demonstrating no substantial detriment to the public good, as well as no substantial impairment of the intent and purpose of the city zoning laws. Finally, we need to demonstrate that the site is suitable for the proposed development or project.
Can you explain or identify some purposes of zoning that are advanced to satisfy the positive criteria?
I'll list a few that are part of the municipal land use law. One of them, item A out of there, is the encouragement of municipal action to guide the appropriate use of development on all lands in the state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. This project and specifically promotes multi-general use of this property for the homeowner and his family. Next, we'll move on to item G from the municipal land use law, which is the promotion of sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses and open space, both public and private, according to their respective environmental requirements in order to meet the needs of all New Jersey citizens. Next, item I would be the promotion of desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. And most importantly, to the city of Cape May, item J is the promotion and conservation of historic sites and districts.
What about the site suitability standard? Can you?
Certainly. In terms of suitability, this site, as you heard from the applicant and can certainly reference the city records, this property has been developed since roughly 1905. There was an addition at some time decades ago that created this rear second-level porch, but none of what we're proposing changes the fundamental use of the property, the character of the neighborhood, the mass or bulk of the building. We're simply enclosing an underused enclosed porch to create 88 square feet of usable bathroom area for the family. As a testament to the suitability, the HPC, as you heard, did grant us not only preliminary but final approval. So I think that further justifies the suitability standard.
And I guess the negative criteria would fall into the same type of testimony with respect to the impact on the public, but what about the zone plan and the zoning ordinance? Any substantial detriment or impact?
In my opinion, no. In this zone, this is the RS, I just want to make sure I got that correct. In the RS zone, which is the residential seasonal, we are continuing to propose predominantly residential use. Even the apartment is a residential type of use. There's no change to that pattern. At one time in this zone, that apartment was a permitted use, and we're looking to continue to operate it as it has operated without incidents. We have the appropriate parking. It's behind the property. It's in a corner that's fenced and shoehorned in with garages from the neighboring properties. It's suitable in this unique application in terms of what we're proposing.
So with respect to the positive, negative criteria, site suitability, do you believe, in your opinion, that the standard for granting the use variance is met?
I do.
I want to go through the bulk variances. I want to take all of them except lot coverage first, and I'm focusing on lot area, lot frontage, lot width, and side yard setback. In your opinion, would these qualify for relief under the C1 hardship criteria, and if so, can you explain why?
Yes, I feel that these are the perfect example of why C1 exists. We have a lawfully existing structure that was built before the current standards for zoning were enacted. Due to the minor project we're proposing here, these nonconformities have to be discussed at a board such as this. And it triggers the bulk variances. However, again, there is no change or impact to the neighborhood, as there hasn't been for decades, by the continued use as proposed.
The, under C2 balancing test, would the same purposes of zoning that you spoke about for the use variance apply to these bulk variances as well?
Yes, as the standard for a D variance is higher than for a C, I feel comfortable stating that from a balancing point of view, the same criteria, the same supporting arguments are appropriate.
Same with the negative criteria?
Same with the negative criteria as well.
So lot area, I guess, is a little, I'm sorry, lot coverage is, at least in my view, is really expansion of a nonconformity. You can argue that the enclosing a screened-in porch and making it a bathroom is an expansion, but really it's the same footprint. There's really no, but technically I do agree with Craig. Floor area does not include a screened-in porch, so it's increasing floor area, but it's not increasing the footprint of the building. But lot area or lot coverage is being increased slightly, so you want to go through that under both the C1 and the C2 criteria?
Under both criterias? Under flexible and hardship?
Aren't you expanding because our engineer asked you to?
That is correct.
Okay, that's kind of a purpose of zoning there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because we counted bedrooms, including the rental, there are a certain number of legal conforming parking spaces required, and we were able to demonstrate that we had, I believe, 4 of the 5 spaces, and what the city engineer required was that we extended the stone driveway further to create a conforming legal 5th. The construction of this driveway, it's crushed pea gravel. So in terms of what we are doing with lot coverage, we're going to be stripping away some topsoil. There's no landscaping changes. There's no trees involved with this. It's just lawn beyond where the driveway ends. We're going to strip away that topsoil, provide the crushed stone to the city engineer's satisfaction with the construction detail, and there we go. That's our extended driveway, and that accounts for the impervious coverage. But again, in terms of impairment of the zoning ordinance, we have to balance the fact that we're providing the required parking off-street as per ordinance with the fact that we are going to increase the lot coverage. However, in terms of coverage, this is a pervious surface. By your ordinance, half of that area is erased or credited, if you will, and we will provide to the engineer's satisfaction any stormwater management requirements.
And
Mr.
also-
King, could you turn on your microphone, please? Mr. King, thank you.
Did I say that much?
Oh, I'm sorry, I see one that's red there. I
No,
couldn't
my,
hear you.
my
so I
microphone
thought-
is on, and I've
You get an
been
extra
doing my
one.
best to speak into it. The
got-
last thing I may have mumbled, but I was just politely pointing out that our engineer asked him to do it, so we don't have to spend too much time, since parking is a purpose of zoning, and you are advancing it at our engineer's request, so.
Thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. for
But I'll
that.
say that more clearly into the microphone.
I see you have your backup there if you need it.
Yeah, what's that?
I see you have your backup
Yeah,
microphone.
I need two microphones.
I have no further questions, so we can entertain board questions and the engineer's report.
Does anyone have any question? You have a question?
I have a question on the additional property that's out in the back. You said there's one bedroom or two bedrooms there?
It's a single bedroom. There's living space on the ground level, and there's a stair that goes up to essentially one large open space that's utilized as a bedroom.
Okay. And I guess this is for the engineer. This was approved back a while ago? Because usually, when they come with a pre-existing, they say that it was built or it was changed over a certain time frame.
I think it's existed prior to zoning.
Okay.
So-
I know that I've had these conversations with the applicant, and as he testified, his father purchased the property in 86 or 87, and it was already at that time, which is 40 years ago, a rental.
Okay, that's all I
unit.
want to know is,
Yeah.
when it was changed over.
Yeah.
Because we try to keep people from building a garage and all of a sudden it becomes another house.
All right, can we just have, do you agree with that, sir?
I agree with that.
Okay, so go ahead with Craig's report.
Okay, summarizing my September 30th, 2025 report. This project is located in the RS Residential Seasonal District. I'm going to roll right into the completeness checklist. They've asked for waivers from items number 19, 25, 28, and 33. I did support granting all of those waivers. Item number 32 is providing an easement to contain the driveway for the parking improvements. Right now, if you look at the plan, it bows into adjoining Lot 7. They own and control Lot 7 right now. So it's a great idea at this point to get an easement there in case that's ever sold off, so that we have an easement, so that those parking spaces will never go away, and we'll protect those, and they will stay with this property. Okay, so that would be a condition of approval, that they will provide that easement. Moving on to just summarizing the variances, you've heard testimony from the applicant. So in the residential seasonal district, single-family dwellings are a permitted use. But in this case, you're only allowed to have one single-family dwelling on each lot. The cottage in the back is considered a second single-family dwelling, based on our definitions. So there are two single-family dwellings on the lot. That drives the non-conforming situation. Okay? It's an existing undersized lot, just for one single-family dwelling. But this lot has accommodated these two uses over this period of time, since 1905. Is that what you said? Okay, so the lot is undersized, 6,250 square feet is the requirement in the zone, where 5873.23 square feet exists. Lot width and lot frontage requirements are 50 feet, where lot width is 45 feet and lot frontage is 47.48 feet. Those are all existing nonconformities. So the lot is small and it's narrow. With regards to the side yard setback, so this is really the variance that's being triggered by their proposed improvements. So a sliver of them filling in and converting that open porch into habitable space extends into the required 8-foot wide side yard setback. So there's a 6-foot setback proposed where 8 foot is required. And then finally, lot coverage. So that lot coverage variance, it's 45% is the maximum permitted in the district. They're slightly over as it exists right now at 48.7%. But my recommendation is is to park this. Let's make sure it's adequately parked. They're deficient one parking space in the existing condition. They're going to provide that. The proposed improvements are not driving and creating a need for one additional space because it's a proposed bathroom. There's no additional bedrooms being proposed. So them being able to park this based on the existing conditions is a positive aspect of this application. The only negative is that complying with my recommendation increases the lot coverage. Now, 49.9%, in my opinion, is not going to create stormwater issues. They're providing it on a pervious surface, so therefore, I believe that the potential negatives are mitigated by the proposed parking surface. Okay, so, and then, no, that takes care of that, I'm sorry. So that's a summary of the variances. Under the general review comments, these all should be conditions of approval. We've asked them to just update the zoning table and reflect the comments of the review memo. We've asked for some additional setback information under item number 2. 3 details the requirement to provide the easement to the board attorney and board engineer for review and approval, and then eventually they have to provide evidence of filing that so that it runs with the property. 4, we've asked for the construction details of the extended parking surface. 5 is our standard requirement. They'd have to comply with Chapter 525, the minimum stormwater management and grading requirements. 6, we would just like to verify that you are preserving the existing landscaping. Okay,
Yes,
so
no change.
That's supportive of not having them to provide a landscaping plan, so they will preserve all the existing landscaping. 7 is our standard condition that we evaluate the sidewalk after construction to make sure that it's suitable and not damaged, and any damaged sidewalk would have to be replaced. 8 is our standard condition that they have to provide the inspection escrow and tie the certificate of occupancy to the acceptance of improvements. 9 is compliance with the Shade Tree Commission, Fire Department, and Public Works Department. We did receive reports from the Fire Department dated at 10/2/25 recommending approval. Public Works recommended approval dated 10/3/25, with none of those had any comments. The Shade Tree Commission recommended approval with the following conditions. The project as proposed does not impact the 2 street trees fronting Madison Avenue. The tree at the rear of the property should be protected by a construction barrier. Just protect that tree and you would comply with that. Is there any issue with that?
No.
Okay. And then finally, all of the other conditions are standard conditions. It should be noted that HPC approval, final HPC approval is required. I guess you have to go back to them and just reaffirm that. And that's a summary of my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions the board has. Excuse me.
If there's no questions from the board, we'll open it up to anyone within 200 feet.
Jules Roush, R-A-U-C-H, 1010 New York Avenue. I did receive notice. I guess technically within 200 feet because of my back property line and the proximity. I must congratulate the people that are in control of the building. They've put a lot of effort to improve it, particularly inside. They went for a long time with a lot of improvements. We think that what they've done to preserve that house is an asset, and I certainly support their application.
Thank you
Sir,
very much.
Sir, 2 things, sir. Roush, can you please say your address again, and then I want to have you,
1010 New York Avenue?
okay, so do you swear or affirm the testimony you just gave was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, anyone beyond 200 feet? Seeing no one, closed to the public.
Okay, no comments from the board. The application, the motion that I recommend being made, but how you vote is up to you, is a motion to grant the variances on page 3 of the engineer's report. We're going to vote on all the variances at once. This is a use variance, so they will require 5 out of 7 to approve the application.
Since they presented all of the positives all together, we're going to vote on the entire thing in one vote for the project. But remember, 5 out of 7 are required for this to be approved, and it'll be subject to the conditions 1 through 13 outlined by the board engineer. That's the motion I recommend be made, but how you vote is up to you.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Venuto motions, Mrs. Notch seconds. Mr. Lewin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
Yes.
Ms. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congrats.
That's right.
Mr. King, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In terms of resubmitting to the HPC, can I send them a letter for their weekly review? We did. Mr. Hurlis, I think, recommended that we had to send it back to them.
You may have, checked with the HPC.
Okay.
That's the best advice.
Okay. I have his email and all of his contacts. Because there's
If
been no
they didn't
change.
make any
Just issuing
changes,
a
they
different
wouldn't.
letter,
Okay.
letter.
If there
All right,
are,
I'll reach out to them directly.
Ms. Keenan has an answer for you.
so if there are no changes to the approval, then you don't have to go back.
Okay,
But
thank
don't
you.
let it expire either.
I know that Chris Jillian Schwartz did everything he could to nail us down at that meeting, and like I said, we are not changing it. This is the project.
Oh, you're good to go then, for
Thank you.
that part. You have to wait for ours, though.
I appreciate
Our
it.
resolution. Oh, the board's resolution, I should say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve the bills.
I make a motion that we pay the bills.
Second.
Mr. Venuto motions, Ms. Sheehan seconds. Mr. Lewin?
Yes.
Mrs. Notch?
Yes.
Ms. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Zexer?
Yes.
Mr. Venuto?
Yes.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Thank you.
And a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Okay, so I want to tell you too, I may not be here in November because George is getting an operation that day. And I'm